Hello, I'm Jonathan Stallick. I'm a professional registered homeopath with about 40 years experience. And I'd like to welcome you to this video entitled, Is OCD Really Treatable? And I suppose the short answer is yes, but we need to go into it in a little bit more depth. So this is just a very short video to introduce you to the subject. If you're interested in knowing more, I will. There will be a link below for a longer video, which will give you more information about OCD and also whether homeopathy can help. So I've been treating more and more cases of autism, OCD, ADHD recently, maybe in the last 10 years, and it's become of a great interest to me, particularly because I see how much trauma it is for not just the person themselves, but for the whole family. It is really quite a, it's a terrible affliction because it's like for the parents, particularly if you have an autistic child or a child with OCD, it can be a 24-hour a day job. So that's what made me interested, because I realized that I wanted to really help both the person with OCD and the family themselves. So there's a few obviously technical words that are bandied around. One is autism. What is autism? Autism is a neurodevelopmental condition. So it affects the development, so development can either completely stop at a certain point or it's very slowed down. And so it means that somebody who's maybe 17 has the sort of the mental age of a much younger person. Now, OCD is short for obsessive-compulsive disorder, and this is an anxiety-based condition, and it involves intrusive thoughts and repetitive behaviors or mental rituals. It's very, very troublesome for the person and for the whole family. Now, ADHD, which is short for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and it's very, very common these days. In fact, many people think they've got ADHD, even perhaps whether it's moot whether they do have it. And this is a condition involving difficulty regulating attention, impulse, and sort of activity levels. So they're often hyperactive and have difficulty focusing, and makes it very difficult at school, for example. And then there's, of course, pandas. And pandas is related to a certain infection with streptococcus. It often involves sort of a throat infection, but it may be in other parts of the body. But it definitely involves streptococcus, and that can cause all kinds of OCD, ADHD, and autistic-looking conditions. So I just wanted to give you a brief idea about how homeopathy can help these conditions. And I mean, one of my first cases, very satisfying, was a young man, actually, 23 years old. Most of my autism and OCD patients are normally much younger, so they're normally under the age of 8. But this was a 23-year-old man, and he came. In fact, he was transitioning from female to male at the same time as having autistic characteristics. He had a pretty troublesome life. He had no confidence. He stayed at home the whole time. He was unable to get a job or have a relationship. And he would have to ask his parents for permission to do things, even at the age of 23. So he was in a pretty low state when I first saw him. Over the period of a year, after a number of remedies, and I have to say that progress is often 3 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back. That's that sort of idea. It can be like removing layers of an onion. But anyway, over a period of a year, this young man, transformed. He was what showed itself first was that he was able to get a job, and before he would be unable to be able to deal with customers' questions and that sort of thing. He was able to deal with customers' questions. In fact, he quite enjoyed it. He started, he was able to engage with the other staff. He was, in fact, the first thing that alerted the parents that something was going on was that he just decided to get his ear pierced. He just went off down the town and got his ear pierced without asking anyone, without asking his parents' permission. That would be the normal thing. He would normally have to ask his parents' permission to do anything. So that was the first thing. And over a period of a year, he started a graphic design course. He continued with his job. He started helping kids to learn how to horse ride, and started going on journeys with friends, and basically started leading a completely normal life. And that was all thanks to homeopathy, and of course some very supportive parents. That's very important. So that gives you an idea. Another case I had was a young girl. It was a very, very heart-rending case, because when they first came, the parents came to me and told me about her. This young girl was in a terrible state, with terrible OCD, all kinds of repetitive behaviours, kind of strange notions. For example, she felt she was being poisoned. The parents would have to sample the food before she could eat anything. She couldn't touch certain things. Getting her out in the morning to school was an absolute nightmare. It might take 3 hours to get her dressed. And it was a 24-hour job for the parents. Over a period again of about a year, this girl also transformed. All those repetitive behaviours started to melt away. She was able to sleep in her own bed before she had to sleep with the parents. Her relationships at school started to improve. Before, she was very, very concerned and about the way she felt sort of left out, and felt that the kids were being horrible to her. But she was able to deal with that and sort of lead a more normal existence. And again, this was all thanks to homeopathy. So I'm not saying, homeopathy is not a miracle cure, but it is definitely worth a route that's worth pursuing when you've got either a child who's got OCD, autism, ADHD, or other neurodivergent characteristics. Also, like I've treated Down syndrome and Asperger's as well. So all those things can be helped with homeopathy. So that's it. I want to thank you for your time here. And if you're interested in knowing more, follow the link in the below to take you to a fuller video presentation. It's completely free. Feel free to pass this on to your friends and other loved ones. Thanks very much, and goodbye.